You are listening to the Young Black Travelers podcast. Black voices talking on experiential travel, dedicated to creating a global community of travelers. So, be bold, be inspired, be spontaneous. We are YBT. Welcome, everyone, to the Young Black Travelers podcast. My name is Asher Cunningham, and I'm the founder of Young Black Travelers and your host for today's podcast. And today on our podcast, we always invite a guest, if it's not the team of YBT who's here with you to talk with us. And today, actually, very special conversation because she's joining us remotely from Mongolia, which is the topic of this conversation. By the way, it's like, 9 p.m. in New York and it's like 9 a.m. in Mongolia. So a 12-hour difference. I actually didn't know that Mongolia was 12-hour difference. But let me introduce her. This is Amina. Amina, introduce yourself to our listeners.
Hey everyone, my name is Amina. I also go by Amina, a Miss Young International, and I'm a traveler, explorer, adventurer, all things traveler.
All things Miss Travel, Miss Travel. I mean, obviously she loves traveling because she's in Mongolia right now. And this is a destination that a lot of Black people do not go. And I mean, I remember when we talked, when we met initially, you talked about a lot of your trips are actually based to destinations that a lot of Black people do not go. So tell us a little bit about that and maybe how you started that passion.
Sure. I think that it came from a lot, I think over the past few years,
Mm-hmm.
um, Black travelers have been on platforms like sharing travels and sharing adventures and things like that. And I remember kind of seeing like the same destinations like over and over. Still
Mm.
beautiful, amazing, amazing content, but it was almost like a little bit, it became very familiar with all the destinations. And I was
Hmm.
thinking, I kind of like, what else is out there? I haven't seen any of us go here, or I haven't seen any of us go here. Let's go and find out.
Wow.
And I started
Wow.
started going. And, yeah.
No, that's dope. I mean, and you are right? Like Black people, I think, travel in waves and groups. And so there's typically waves of certain destinations. Like I remember during the pandemic, um, Tulum just seemed to be the spot. Everybody was going to
Mhm.
Tulum. Greece also was the spot. So you saw, I mean, I follow the trend sometimes too, but I actually like your strategy. I really do because you are showing us places that we would have never thought of. But I'm sure even in showing us places we've never thought of, what has been the reception from the Black community or particular Black community?
I think it's been like more. It's either like why would you go there, or and then it became like awareness, like oh my god, I never thought that they had this. I never thought they had like that type of culture, that type of beaches, that type of activities. Maybe I should go as well. So I think at first
Mm.
it's kind of like let me see what's out there, and then it's like okay, I can go out there too. So.
I honestly love that. I mean, when I asked you that question, that's the response I actually expected. Because listen, Black people, I think we are typically, I mean, we're young Black travelers. We promote travel to everyone, but we really want to cater to our community. And one of the things we know about our community is, and this is Black people global, right? We
Mhm.
love things that are familiar. And, so typically, especially if you look at immigrant communities, immigrant parents, they're going to go to back home often. They're not going to veer off to other destinations. So when you said they're asking you why there, it wasn't surprising.
Right, like what?
Why did you go? No, but
Yeah.
so how did your love of travel begin?
I think to be honest, I think that well, I grew up in France, and so growing up in Europe, all countries are everything is pretty much nearby. So it's very common
Hmm.
for like a young person who's living in Europe to just go around like Germany, Spain, Italy. So I think it becomes a thing when you're younger. But then,
Mm.
I had a friend my best friend actually, she was like 15 going to Thailand, like going everywhere at such a young
15.
age, and
Wow.
15 going to Thailand with her boyfriend. And she invited me on a trip to Brazil. It was my first trip as an adult. And I just fell in love with traveling with her, and we just started going everywhere. Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna pin it right there for a little because you said you said something that I think is actually very important. Because when we do look at the juxtaposition of like the Americans or people on this side of the world versus Europeans, um, I feel that a lot of people over in the Americas are extremely scared, particularly Americans scared of traveling because for many reasons. And certainly young people at 15 they're not traveling on their own.
Mm-mm.
So what was your first trip when you were young? And what age was it?
My first trip when I was young, I remember, I mean, I've traveled before. I was like 9 or so with my family. The one that I remember
Hmm.
the most, that's most like clear in my head is Turkey when I was like 9 years old. Turkey
Wow.
and Greece. Yeah, that was like a family. It's nearby, so 2-3 hour flight, 4 hours max, and you're in Turkey. And I think that's when I'm like, okay, there's something else. There's other things to see out here.
Wow. Listen. Americans, we got to get it together. We got to get our young people out there traveling sooner and just being able to explore a lot more. That's actually pretty impressive. So I love that. And so in all the countries that you have been, by the way, how many so far?
People always ask, and honestly, I need to start counting, but I think I'm around maybe like in the 30s, like 30
Wow.
something. Yeah.
30s. Okay, okay, okay. And so out of all of the destinations that you've visited, which has been your favorite?
My favorite destination so far has been Myanmar, also known as Burma. It's in Southeast Asia. Beautiful.
Wow. Why? So
Uh,
it's beautiful, but
it's
why?
when you go somewhere, you kind of like, oh, this kind of looks like this place. This kind of looks like this place. Burma looks like nothing I've seen. Everything is just very unique from the food. Like, they eat like a tea leaf salad. There's the beach,
Mm.
there's the lake, there is
Ah,
mountains, there's everything in the city where they're like literally like go around in like carriages. It's very unique and everything is very
carriages.
much stuck in time. And
As
in
in
fact,
like
it's a
horse-drawn
beautiful country.
carriages.
Absolutely, locals, yeah, and it's like an ancient city where the way for you to go around, like transportation, you can literally you can get on a carriage. Amazing.
That sounds excited. Wow, 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 wow. Listen, so Amina is the travel expert here. I mean, she goes to part I mean, Anthony Bourdain's tagline was parts unknown, but I think we are gonna tag parts unknown currently now. And rest in peace, Anthony Bourdain, one of my favorite travel enthusiasts. We're
Mm-hmm.
gonna tag it now for Amina. Amina parts unknown.
I like that. I like that.
So we're gonna take a we're gonna take a break, and when we come back, we're gonna get into the meat of this conversation with Amina. We're gonna talk about where she currently is right now, Mongolia, and we're gonna learn a lot more from her about Mongolia. So stay tuned. Well, welcome back to this conversation with Amina, who is actually joining us from Mongolia. By the way, Amina is from Brooklyn. Well, she lives in Brooklyn from France, but is currently traveling to Mongolia and is joining this conversation from Mongolia. So, Amina, I guess our first question for you, as we get into the meat of this conversation, is what inspired you to travel to Mongolia and how did you prepare for it?
Mongolia has always been, uh, first of all, I love Asia. My favorite continents are Africa and Asia. And so, you
Mm,
know, there's a lot of countries in Asia that when I say we, I mean Black travelers that we go to. And I haven't seen any of us kind of like touch that side of the world. And I was always intrigued by it. And I think it comes with also a lot of research. Like, hey, I haven't seen anybody go there. Let me Google what's there. What can I do when I get there? And I saw that they had a really like the culture was very rich and it was very diverse as far as like scenery.
mm.
And yeah, I was like, let me just hop on a flight and see what's out there.
And go to Mongolia. So, okay, so you said hop on a flight. Now, walk the travelers, the listeners through. How was the journey to Mongolia? What airline? How long did it take you? Yeah, all of that.
For sure. It's pretty far. I know we don't like to go too far, but it's pretty far. So, you can either fly with Korean Airlines or you can also fly with Turkish Airlines. So I took Turkish
Okay.
Airlines. You have a layover in Istanbul, and then from Istanbul it's straight here. So New York, Istanbul, it's about 10 hours. Istanbul, Ulaanbaatar, which is the capital of Mongolia, it's about 8 hours and a half. 8 hours.
Wow.
Yeah,
Ooh,
long.
okay. That
Worth it.
is long. So technically in air, we're looking at about 18 hours fly time,
Correct. Yeah.
not even counting layovers and all of that. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, the experience is worth it nonetheless. And so when you're in
it is.
Mongolia, where have you visited in Mongolia?
So when I first got here, I got here, in the capital. And then, there's 3 million people here. Half of, 1 point something are in the capital, and everybody else is on the countryside. So you don't need to
Oh,
spend too much time here. There's a lot to see outside of the capital. So far I've been to like the central area, the central province, and then a little bit more to the west as well, like central slash west. And I just came back from the north side yesterday. So far, two areas of the country. I have one more to go, but two so far.
nice. That is actually dope. And I just want to like help our listeners to really understand, a little bit more about Mongolia. So just just from your experience, and they could research this as well, but they're listening to a
Mhm.
podcast. And so tell the listeners, first of all, where Mongolia is, what continent, and who are the people closest to? Like, what type of people would they encounter when they get to Mongolia?
Of course. So Mongolia is in Asia. It's literally it's between Russia and China. So it's right in the middle
Hmm.
between Russia and China. Um, over the history, over the past, Mongolia has been tied with China as far as like, the wars going on, territory. So, if you're thinking Mongolia, people would think like Chinese people. It's two different cultures though. Two different
Hmm.
cultures, two different things, but they're the closest. They're a mix of Russians and Chinese, I would say for sure.
Wow. And and
Yeah.
and wow, that's actually a great description because now that's gonna help people to really understand what to expect. A mixed people, just like there are black people who are mixed and Hispanics who are mixed. That's the same thing you would expect when you go to Mongolia and the people you see. So, some don't go over there and call them Chinese now.
No, don't do that now.
Don't do
They
that.
don't like that now.
They're mixed people and they're Mongolians. That's
Yes.
good. That's good. And so as a black traveler and as a woman, how would you say your experiences traveling in Mongolia has been, particularly as a black woman?
Honestly, my experience has been great. And I really care. And I really like, if something doesn't go right, I will say, I post my travels and I value like being authentic with people and giving you the real when I'm out here exploring. But it's been so good. People have been so helpful. I think the first thing people see me, they think I'm a student. Because there's no black
Mm.
people here, obviously. So they would think maybe she's studying here from abroad. So they ask, are you a student? I'm like, no, I'm traveling alone. And they're even like, you came to see, you're here? Like, what? Like, why?
Yes. I came
Yeah.
to see you guys.
Yes, it's been great.
Wow. 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 No, that's good. And wow. So they would typically think that you're a student. And so you would say, obviously, as a black woman, you have felt safe.
I have felt safe. I have felt very safe. Never felt unsafe once. And I always say with everywhere, don't do anything you wouldn't do in your home country. You know what I'm saying? Like I wouldn't be walking the streets at 4 in the morning in Brooklyn just to take a walk at night. Like I wouldn't do that. So I wouldn't do it here either. you know? But yeah.
Make,
Be alert,
makes
but still,
sense.
yeah. Yeah.
Makes sense. And would you say the people, how are they welcoming people? Like, talk about that a little.
Sure. People here are very welcoming. I think they can be, English is like the language has been a little bit difficult, I would say for sure, as far as like the older generation.
Mm.
They don't really speak English, and I will even say they don't even try to at times. It's like, girl, I don't speak English, you don't speak Mongolian, so we're gonna have to use Google Translate, or you gonna have to point at something. But the younger generation, they can be a little bit shy, trying to, like, or like, too shy to speak English, then they're afraid they're not pronouncing it right. But,
Mm.
um, yeah, it's been a little difficult, but, besides that, yeah,
So you have been using Google Translate to communicate,
yes, most of the time, yes, definitely.
and it's been working well for you.
It's been working very well. It's been working very well. As long as you have Wi-Fi, you have a little data.
Yeah, you're gonna be good. Okay, no, that's good because because the truth is, I think a lot of black people, a lot of people in general, white, black, Hispanics, Asian people in general are afraid of going to places because they are afraid that they would not be able to communicate. So we know that obviously Google Translate works. I guess speak to our listeners, tell them, like, give them an advice as to how they can even prepare themselves. What should they do? Like, calm that fear for our listeners.
Yes. Do not panic, guys. I got you. So I think the first thing that you should do is don't expect people to speak English. I think anywhere you go, just don't expect that. The second thing is make sure you get a SIM card. That's the first thing you should be doing. Get a SIM card. So, if you're in a situation where you need to use your phone, you need to use Google Translate, you have data to be able
Mm.
to type on your phone and communicate with people. I think a SIM card is like the main thing that's what it's going to, help you get a taxi if you need it, a translator, things like that. Don't panic. I think I bought a SIM card for like $4 for 30 days with unlimited
Wow.
data. And it's
Wow.
been like life saving, honestly. So
Hmm.
don't panic. Everything is fine.
Wow. Thank you for those tips. Those were actually some good tips. Listen to her and do those things. Um, so what would you say? Did you have any meaningful experiences while you were in Mongolia? And how did you react? Well, yeah, did you have any meaningful experiences that you want to share with our listeners?
Sure, I think so far the most meaningful, is so many, but just, being
Pick
alone
the
and
top two.
traveling. Top two would be traffic here is nuts. Like traffic, I haven't seen traffic like this since even Nigeria's traffic is nothing compared to Mongolian
Really?
traffic. It's insane. Like sometimes like 3 hours in the car. It's insane. So
Wow.
everybody would recommend people to walk. But I was trying to wave a taxi and nobody was stopping. And these two young students saw me, on the side of the road, side of the street. And I have traveled with these two heavy suitcases and they offered to walk me like 35 minutes to my Airbnb just because they saw me struggle. I think that was so kind of them and so nice. I think it was so nice of them. That was really cute. And then the second one has been like sharing a meal or being invited to um nomadic people's home, like a nomadic
Mm,
family's home where they offer you
okay.
food and you can try some horse milk. Just like sounds
Okay.
crazy. Like try some horse
How was
milk and eat
that?
it. It's a little bit sour. It's kind of fermented. I don't recommend foreigners to drink too much of it. But you always should
Mm,
taste when somebody offers you something. But it's an interesting. It tastes like the top of the yogurt when you open a yogurt. It is like a little liquid on top. It tastes
okay.
like that. Yeah, it tastes like that.
Wow. Wow, that's a very different experience. Horse milk. Um, but that's why I'm over here asking how did it taste.
That is random, right? Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
You didn't expect that. You didn't expect that one, huh? Yeah.
I did not expect
Gotcha.
I did not expect horse milk. I mean, you could have come here and said goat milk, sheep
No,
milk, horse milk.
horse milk, giddy up milk. Yes, absolutely.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Okay. And then so okay, those were some really good experiences. But now and you got into the food a little. You got into horse milk. But what are some dishes? Well, how is the cuisine in Mongolia? Is there a dish that sticks out to you outside of the horse milk? Yeah.
Outside of the horse milk, I would say if you come to Mongolia, you need to diet prior coming here because you will gain weight. Okay, they eat a lot of meat. I mean, meat like every meal. Potato, a lot
Mm,
of potatoes, a lot of dumplings. They're
mm,
like national meat. It's like lamb, like mutton meat.
okay.
Um, and they eat it with bread. They eat it with like potatoes. Another traditional dish is milk tea. So it's like literally milk tea. They also put meat in milk tea,
Milk
beef
tea. Hold on.
sausage.
Hold on.
Mm-hmm.
Hold on. Let me pause. Milk tea. What is
Yeah,
that?
it's literally milk and salt.
Milk and
Milk
salt.
and salt. You have to do they eat milk. They drink milk tea as like we would drink water, or they also make it a meal with meat and veggies and dumpling and yeah,
Wow.
very
No,
different.
that's wow. Milk tea, milk and salt. That's these are great cultural experiences. And I mean, wow. Wow. Thank you. We're
It's
over so the
different.
milk the horse milk is getting to me, the milk tea is getting to me. I would I'm not gonna forget horse milk, by the way. And when I go to Mongolia, it's gonna be the first thing that I'm gonna try.
You have to. You have to.
Wow. Oh, wow. Okay. So I also so tell us now. Okay, you actually didn't finish about the food. So you talk about this meat and sausage, the milk tea. What else?
Um, Honestly, everything with Mongolia also in history, it's been like as far as the weather, it's been very hard to grow vegetables here. So that's why they eat a lot of meat and a lot of like dairy, cow and everything. So a lot of they use what they have, so animals, milk,
Mm,
I like animal meat, I mean meat, sorry, dairy, bread, and everything kind of revolves around meat here. It's I keep saying it, but it's very meat heavy. So meals, potatoes, bread, dumplings, things like that.
wow. I I'm sure you've traveled now to over 30 something countries, and you have seen. bread, I'm sure you've seen that bread is one of that connecting thing amongst many cultures. Every culture has its own
Yeah,
bread, its form of bread. Bread is that staple everywhere we go.
connects everybody.
And the easiest thing to find. So I guess to our travelers out there who may be picky eaters, I mean, if you really can't eat something, there will be bread.
Absolutely. Fried bread. Yeah, yeah, you'll be fine.
Wow. Good, good. And okay, so what are some sites that you think travelers should visit when they come to Mongolia?
Definitely you should visit. There's a statue complex of Genghis Khan, which is like the founder of Mongolia. It's beautiful. It's like 131 feet high. It's silver. It's gorgeous. He's the founder of the country. So anything related to him, museums, statues, you should definitely go
Mm,
see in the capital. Out of the
mm,
capital, you have to go, Mongolia is a landlocked country, but they have so many lakes. You have to go to a lake, beautiful blue freshwater lake. You can go to the north for that.
mm.
Um, Mongolia's main religion is, Buddhism. So you should go see the first ever Buddhist temple. That's in the
Wow.
central area.
Mm-hmm.
I think you should go to each province, like central, western province, and north. Like desert, lake, mountain. You should see a little bit. You should see what it has to offer as far as like landscape.
Wow. And how did you go about booking maybe excursions or going to the different places? Did you find it to be easy to do so? Yeah, how did you go about doing that?
Because it's everything is on the countryside here. You cannot venture on your own. You have to book. I would say book a guide for sure. So the capital is pretty easy to manage, but once you go venture, 'cause everything, the main things to see are out of the capital. So definitely, research online a guide. Tell him kind of the things you want to see, and they will build an itinerary for you with
Mm,
3 days here, 2 days here, and that way you know how your trip is going to go, and they're very knowledgeable, and they will speak English, and they will explain to you everything that you're asking about.
wow. And transportation and getting around to these different places. Um, is it taxi or is it train? Is it plane? Like, how did you get around Mongolia?
For sure. So as for the capital, everybody walks here. People walk like an hour to work because it's faster than because this traffic is nuts. So people
Hmm.
walk to work. Outside of here, you need to hire a driver. So it's by car for sure, or you can fly. There's like local airline. In an hour you can be at the lake, you can be in the mountain. The
Mm,
flights are pretty cheap, around maybe like 100 ish, 200 max. To go
okay.
and come back. And you can take the bus. I took the bus to the lake. It was really long, but it was really worth it. The buses are good. It's clean. Um, you stop a few times to eat and use the bathroom. So you can either fly, you can hire a driver, or you can take the
Mm.
bus. Yeah.
Wow. No, that's actually pretty good advice. Wow. Anything else you want to share before we take our quick break about Mongolia that you really think our listeners would benefit from?
What I want to share about Mongolia is that every place is different. It's not because this country is close to this other country that it's the same. Not because people
Mm,
look the same that they're the same. It's close to China, but it's totally different from Chinese
totally
culture
different.
and Chinese people. Um, and be open minded. I think being open minded is like the best thing. Don't expect anything and just go in thinking, not thinking anything, but just being open minded to learn about this place, just like you should when you go anywhere. Yeah,
Wow. Be open minded. Be open minded. That's we're gonna end with that. And honestly, as travelers, as people who may want to explore and people who are looking to explore, honestly, that advice should be the advice that you take going anywhere. be open-minded. So we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to wrap this entire conversation up, and we're going to have a quick game with you in the next segment. So stay tuned as we wrap this entire conversation up. All right. So welcome back to this episode of the Young Black Travels podcast. Again, we have our special guest here with us, Amina, again, who's joining us from Mongolia. Amina is a traveler who has been to over 30 countries now, and she goes to places that are off the beaten path. And these are places that I think, travelers would love to learn about, hence Mongolia. And so, that's why we have her here. We're talking to her about her trip to Mongolia. But before we talk a little bit more with Amina and play our game, like we do on all of our episodes at the Young Black Travels podcast, we take the time out to shout out one of our followers, typically someone who may be connected to our guest, someone who is tuned to our page, who probably listen to our podcast, who follows our Instagram. And on this episode of the Young Black Travelers podcast, we are going to shout out, I know he's a follower of Amina, and his Instagram handle is cultured mindset _. Again, that's cultured mindset _. He has amazing content on his page. I know he visited my country, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and he has a reel on his page with that. So go to his page and just check him out. Maybe you want some travel inspo, and he will be able to provide that for you. So yeah, cultured mindset _. So we're going to move on. And, like we do on the podcast, we typically make it fun at the end. And on this episode and in this season, as you've been hearing, we're introducing a new game to you. It is 20 questions travel edition. And as you know, the way it works is either the guest is gonna guess a country or something, and I or the host would have to guess, or vice versa. But this time, Amina is going to have to guess the country or the city that I'm thinking about. She has 20 chances to guess this city or country that is just placed in my mind. Yeah, Amina, start asking clarifying question. Let's go.
Is it in Africa?
No.
Is it in Asia?
No.
South America?
2 questions. No.
Is it
3
in
questions.
Europe?
Yes. On the 4th, one right.
Is it in is that country in the European Union?
It is in the European Union.
Is that country closer to Asia or closer to France?
Wow, it's a really good question. It is closer to France.
Okay. Do they eat pasta there? Is pasta a main traditional dish?
Is pasta a traditional dish? I won't say so.
Okay. That's not you.
8? She's asking some really good questions here, right?
Dang. Let's see. Is it a landlocked country?
No. This is number 9.
Okay. Is it Portugal?
You can't ask. It's not Portugal.
Okay. Is it? Dang.
Actually, yes, you could call out a name, but now you're on number 10.
Okay. Dang. Okay. Is it? Is it France?
It is France. It is France, the country that
How many questions?
That was on number 11. So you got it on the 11, but you were close. Remember when you asked? I think you said, "Is it closer to Asia or France?" I'm like, "She's close. She's close." But I'm like, and when you asked the question, do they eat pasta? What country were you thinking? Huh? You didn't do too bad.
I didn't do too bad. I wasn't thinking, because like Turkey and this, Georgia, Turkey, they're kind of closer to like the Asian side and, not closer to France. I'm like, is it like those countries over there or is it those countries over there? Like Italy, Spain, Germany.
Yeah. Good. So Amina didn't do too bad. She got it on number 11. So, we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on. And so I guess the last two questions we have for you is why should travelers, Black people, white, Asian, whomever, why should travelers consider visiting Mongolia?
I think travelers overall should consider traveling to Mongolia to, see a diversity, like a diverse scenery as far as like, there's so many things to see here, so many things that you have not seen. And I often said, when I used to watch videos, was always trying to do research before I come here. I'll go anywhere. And the videos always look so fake to me. Like the clouds would look like AI. Like it looked like people photoshopped it. And I got here and it's not like it's really how it is. The clouds look like you can actually touch them when you're standing on the street. Like it's beautiful.
Wow.
Mongolia has so many things to offer. If you want to be hot and, you can go to the desert, where it's hot almost all year. If you want to go skiing, you can go skiing. You want to spend time at a lake, you can go to a lake. In the mountains, go to the mountain. There is something for everyone. It's a very diverse place. It's very, it's very unique. It's a very unique place. I think if you're looking for an Asian country that's, a different destination, people that you're not, you're really want to learn about a new culture, I think Mongolia is the place for you to go to. People are so kind also and very welcoming.
Oh, wow, that's actually really good. And as Amina said, if you're looking for an Asian country, you should consider Mongolia. Typically when we think of Asia, the countries that just always come to everyone's mind is China and Japan. Those two, nothing else. Everything else is lost in the sauce. So there are other countries out there like Mongolia. And if you're really looking for a different experience to learn about a new place, maybe consider Mongolia. Would you consider it to be a place for families to travel, or would you say it's more so solo, or maybe people who do not have families or traveling with young kids to travel?
I think that, solo for sure, solo in France for sure. As far as families, it depends, I think, how old your kids are, because, you're going to be traveling long distance, I would say. Like if you, unless you're going to fly, I feel like if you have the budget to be flying, definitely bring the children. There's space for them to play outside and enjoy, and things like that. If you're going to be hiring a driver, make sure you get a big car, but it's going to be long hours in the car, starting at like 5 to like 10 hours-ish. So I think, maybe kids on the older side, it'll be suitable for them. Babies
makes sense.
Will be a little bit, but yeah.
Got you. That's good. That's good to know. And I guess the last question is, where to next?
Where to next? I change my mind all the time. But the countries that are on my list right now are uh Pakistan,
Mm,
um Papua New Guinea,
mm.
um
Papua New
and
Guinea.
Nepal.
Woo.
Yeah, Papua New Guinea.
Wow. No, I mean, you are really off the beaten path, traveler. This is good. Okay.
What I pronounce it like that? It's Papua New Guinea. Why am I saying Papua New Guinea? It's Papua New Guinea.
Maybe that's the French
Yeah.
pronunciation.
Papua New Guinea. What was you? But yeah.
Wow. No, that's actually. Oh, I'm gonna be looking forward to seeing certainly Papua New Guinea.
Yeah, that's probably next.
Because you're once you go, you are certainly going to unearth a lot of the stereotypes, just whatever people are thinking negatively about Papua New Guinea. Because I think what stands out most in a lot of people's mind is obviously they're cannibals in Papua New Guinea, and so certainly you got work ahead of you, girl.
I'm ready. I'm ready to make y'all change our minds. I'm ready.
Oh, wow. No, I love it. I love it. Woo! I can't wait for this one. Papua New Guinea.
Yeah.
Wow. And so as you rank them, which one do you think you're probably going to do first?
Papua New Guinea, most likely. I'm going to close out the year with a bang. I'm planning it now, and it's so far, and it's pretty pricey, but it's been on my list for a long time, and it's time. I mean, I've been postponing it. You know, COVID happened, and then every time it's something. But I think it's time. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen anybody go there. Yeah,
you would be one of the first, certainly Black content creators who is going to like go there and create content. So we're looking forward to it. So I can't wait. And we're going to get you back on this podcast when you come back from Papua New Guinea and just tell us about your experience. And yeah, tell us about your experience. I'm sure it's going to be a great trip. It's going to be a great country. Wow, can't wait for that. But before we go, do share your socials. How can people who want to learn more about your travels, how can they connect with you?
Sure. So you can follow my travels on Instagram. My Instagram handle is Miss Young International. Everything spelled out. And to be honest, right now, that's pretty much what I got. I also have a website, which is MissYoungInternational.com. I need to update it, but right now Instagram. I'm also on TikTok. Same thing, Miss Young International. And YouTube channel is loading. But for now, Instagram. Yeah.
Come on, YouTube. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. So connect with her if you want to see more of her content, if you really want to pick her brain, because this is a person you really want to connect with and reach out to, certainly to get to a lot of these destinations. So connect with her anywhere, Instagram, TikTok, at Miss Young International. And Amina, we want to say thank you for coming on today to the Young Black Travelers podcast. You know, this conversation was insightful. I can't wait to have you back again, because I know like when you're gonna be here, you are gonna give us some good juice tea about just places that most people haven't gone. And I respect your work. I respect your travels, because I honestly think what you're doing is what many of us need to do. And so that's why we really respect you and appreciate you. So thank you for coming, and thank you for doing what you're doing, because it is necessary in this space. It's necessary.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. Like, it's an honor. I've been wanting to come on this platform for a while, so I'm very, very grateful.
Oh, thank you. And listen, as you close out your trip in Mongolia, Be safe, enjoy, have a lot of fun. Just enjoy Mongolia. We can't wait for more content, more pictures, more videos from Mongolia.
Thank
But
you.
you're welcome. And like we do on all of our episodes, please make sure that you, our listeners, connect with Young Black Travelers on Facebook at Young Black Travelers, on Instagram at Young Black Travelers Blog. We're now on Threads at Young Black Travelers Blog, and you can check out our website at www.youngblacktravelers.com. Remember to like, share, subscribe wherever you listen to us or you follow us. Whatever you do, remember to just share our guest content as well, and be safe. Travel, explore the world. Our world is a huge place, and make it your oyster. Have a great day and a great rest of your year, everyone. Take care.